Hello and welcome to a new devlog. Today's setting is a little bit different. I'm going to time block this one to 30-35 minutes because then I need to uh, get to work and go to the office today. But before that, I wanted to share this tutorial that I did yesterday. So I have done this tutorial once and fixed some of the problems I faced, and also had shared some of it with the community on the Reddit. I haven't had any feedback, but this is apparently a problem that yeah, other people have faced as well. So it was kind of interesting, and I wanted to share it over here. Uh, so yeah, first thing first, I want to do this tutorial, right? Building a command line calculator in Zig. I'm going to copy paste the code from this tutorial, but then we're going to reiterate and fix it. If one session wasn't enough, later today I'm going to have another session and continue my work there. It's kind of interesting. It's a super simple tutorial, but the Zig version incompatibility and the coding style is something I would like to yeah, fix and change, right? Here I think the author used version 0.11 of Zig, and apparently things have changed a lot since. And also in my own setup I had this problem with the Zig installation, which I was using always the nightly build, and I was caught with surprise how problematic that could be, especially in the Zig environment, which is uh, very dynamic and changing constantly. So yeah, without further ado, let's start. One interesting thing about this tutorial though is that the author is not using the ziginit command, and that was very helpful to me to figure out some of the details of how Zig build works. That's basically very basic details about it, right? I'm not still a Zig build expert, but I really like this approach. So yeah, first thing first, let's set up the environment. I'm going to do sorcery learning yes, mkdir, and do calculator. I'm going to do 2. I have my other code also open on going to open it on this screen, so I can copy paste some idea and bring what I've done over here, and do not bore you with repeating my mistakes, but I'm going to cover them one by one. So calculator 2, and then yeah, go inside it and get init and dev init. And then from calculator, bring in dev amp YAML and next here. I'm going to show you what I have changed in the setup as well. So maybe that's a good idea to cover now. Sorcery, learning, calculator 2, and then first of all YAML. So in the for the ZLS, I'm pinning the version that I want. I want to keep it on version 15. Excuse me. That's because in the nightly build now we are getting something, or I think it's version 16 now. So I wanted to pin it to make sure that the documents that I'm going to review, I have a version to refer to and not the master. That was a bad idea. Yesterday I was totally confused having different versions on the documents, and some of the functions referred in the documents were also missing. Also, LSP was helping a lot here because it could actually not just see the documents but also confirm it in my code, in the Zig source code that documentation holds. Anyway, the only change compared to my initial installation here is to pin ZLS over here. This is how you pin ZLS's flag for the event. And then inside the nix, and instead of using .master, I'm pinning it on the version that I want. There is a minor change here which is kind of irrelevant because ZLS is only releasing on the this sorry, minor version, and the patch is irrelevant. That's what I meant. And yeah, then that's it. From here I have the ZLS version 15 and Zig version 15.1, which work together quite well. Then yeah, the next step would be mkdir src, and then the two files I'm going to create when I'm coding them. Then I'm going to do build.zig, and for build.zig I'm going to copy paste this and review the code together with you. This looks quite similar to let me also install ZLS. Yeah, this looks quite similar to how package.json works. So there are some comments you initialize. So first of all, top here is the target system apparently, and this picks up the related target system that you're building on, and then some commands. Here we are defining two commands. One is building the executable, and the second one is building a test command, and that test command is going to use basically a different file compared to this one. There is immediately an update here, which is like root module, and then b dot I think is make or create module, yes, and then here I need to pass in these three, and here we have a comma. I think then the change is going to be this. Let me actually check my other setup. Build.zig. Yes, this is root source file, that the other one. And also another change is this sucks. going to be almost the same over here, and then root module, and then v8 module, and this. I think it should be good. Nothing else needs to change with regards to this code. Basically, this is a change in the how Zig is now organizing this piece of code. And the module itself is self-explanatory. I believe we have the name, we have some details about the module, which source file we are compiling, and then target system and optimization flags. There are some details over here I need to check in more detail, and then also I need to basically refactor some pieces of this code. I believe I need to learn this more in detail, so I'm going to put a to-do here and to-do learn this more in detail. So we have a marker to get back with, but there are more interesting stuff down the road. Then from here we have src calculator .zig, which is this piece of code. We know almost everything about this one. Public function which takes 3 parameters. 2 of them are numbers, and the third one is a character, and then based on those character it shows it will select what option to basically what operation basically to do on those 2 numbers. And then you have number 1, number 2, and then plus, minus, multiplication, and division. There was one new thing that I learned here, actually 2. The first one is the default error types, which division by 0 is an actual error type that you can return without actually defining it. This is part of the standard library. And then at modulo, which enables you to do modulo and return the remainder of the operation. Yeah, basically it's super simple. No import is needed for this function. And then the main function, which was the main part of the errors we had. So yeah, let's do this copy, and also I'm going to create the calculator underscore test, and copy this simple test. This is super simple. This is testing the calculator function, and yeah, testing the value, the return value to be equal to result. One thing I need to do though is to do an import, and here I'm going to calculator to calculator.zig, and this solves the error. And yes, the other one is to const std as import std, and then go to lh.std.testing. So testing module is now part of std. Again, something interesting that I learned yesterday is this can be simplified. Like if you don't need std, the whole std function, you can do testing, and then do it like this, and then go here, remove this as well for easier access. And then from here we are good to go to face our first error, Zig build. So yeah, the majority of changes are happening here. Oh, okay. But first I need to import it. Let's do std. Now it's better. So maybe I can scroll up. Yes, stdio getStdOut doesn't exist anymore. There are multiple ways to overcome this. It's not just the library that has been reorganized and moved somewhere else, but also this method that we are constantly using is has been changed. It doesn't exist anymore. Apparently, they removed it. At least I couldn't find it. I found a replacement for it. But with that, let's first go over the code. Let's see what the author is trying to achieve here. We are setting stdout for the output we are going to print, and then stdin for the input we are going to print. And then we have loop, which is always happening constantly. There's no break out of it unless you type Ctrl+C, for example. And then it's printing some stuff to basically set the scene, calculator top Q to quit, and then enter your first number. Right, and for the first number, it's defining a buffer, an array of type U8 with a length of 16. We are setting it to undefined, and then we are passing it to this method, which is going to apparently read the stdin. Try to read the stdin, put the values into this buffer and quit as soon as it sees a new line, or basically the user is typing a return, and yeah, store it to the first input, and then we check for the lengths. If it's of length 1, and then user has typed Q, and that one character is Q, break the loop and exit. Otherwise, try to do some sort of calculation. And then the number 1, if this didn't happen, is to try to parse the number. There is some problem here. We are just trying to parse it, and if the value is not parsable to F64, the program will crash. So the author kept it quite simple and straightforward over here. And then it tries to do basically a similar action here. It tries to read the operation that we want to do, and then again a third time to do it for the third number. Here the author used a more concise way of writing the code. They are all inside the same function, basically a one-liner. And then for the result, is trying to calculate calling the function we had above, and then catching the 2 errors that we are returning from that function. And the third one, if anything else happened, we are just raising the error. And then stdout printing the code. From what you see, LSB is not raising an error, but the Zig build function is raising. One thing I think is helpful is that autocomplete is also not able to find this function. Then probably that's a good clue to follow up, and that's a good sign that is showing that this function doesn't exist. So first, for the first line, what we could do is to from std fs file. By the way, this is, let me see if I can show it to you, to Zig. documentation, and then master. I think here we have std. Yes. There are some things I learned about the documentation. This full documentation down here doesn't have any search functionalities, but what you can do is just use your browser search, but you will not be able to find anything related to the standard library. However, there are some good documentation around the things that will happen during the coding. For example, there are some yeah, the modular one that I just described, I read it about it over here. And then things you cannot do, I think, was division by zero. Division by zero is, yeah, illegal behavior, and there's a quite a list that you cannot do. This is a good reference for it. And then the second thing is, to be honest, I couldn't find the direct link somewhere here, but when I was searching, it was raising. I was seeing this page quite often, and then I found it quite useful, and that's this std, basically documenting all the std public methods that you have, and also the types. Sorry, not methods, namespaces, apparently they are called. And what I'm going to use is basically part of this. One interesting trick is using the search bar, which has the autocomplete and not just the things that are listed here. Here I'm looking for stdIn. This is how I found this, at least. And then I realized, okay, stdIn belongs to this prefix. This is literally it. Let me quickly check. Yes. What I needed here though is the stdout. Okay. And what I can do is do deprecatedWriter, I believe. And from here it should be good to go. The same, I think, I supposed to be able to do over here. This is not the final version that I ended up with, right? stdIn, and then deprecatedReader. I think this will already go a long way. Okay, we already built it. And then Zigout calculator 1 plus 2. Nice, this works. And as I said, if I do something that is not castable, I can basically I will get an error and it will exist. This is the first version that works, but yeah, the name says deprecatedReader and writer. I wanted to find a better way of doing it. And for that, I ended up using the std writer. For now, let's focus on the stdIn, because stdOut I still have some problems with that I need to figure out. But for stdIn, I'm going to change this to the new syntax that I learned, and that's having this reader. This reader requires a buffer already to be fed into it, so I cannot use it up here like this, but instead you need to come down here and say const stdIn, then stdfs file stdIn, and then reader, and then pass in the buffer. I think for the buffer I need to pass it in like this. Yeah, and then for the reader part down here, what I need to do is to remove this and then go back, use interface, and then use pick, I think. Pick delimiter exclusive is the function. Of course, down here I need to repeat myself. I think this is going to fail. Hopefully somewhere outside of what I pick delimiter, what it says. I need an IO reader. I got a const IO reader. Yeah, maybe this should also be a var. Yeah, that problem solved. Now the same thing I can basically do down here, but I'm basically redefining it, and then it gets quite ugly. So what I do, I'm going to go up here and define a function call it read line, and then for now I'm not going to put anything there, but I expect to see some error, and the return value I want to have is a list of characters. And then basically what I'm going to do is repeat the pattern down here. I'm going to have a buffer, and that buffer is going to be length 16 of U8 characters, and it's going to be undefined. Then stdin itself is stdfs file stdin, and then reader buffer is what I'm going to pass it, and then I'm going to return try stdin interface and pick delimiter exclusive, and then here U8 and not U8 /n, and then that's it. What it says, buffer is not used. Yes, I think here I forgot to pass the pointer, the function. So this is it. There is a bug here. Bear with me. I'm writing it like this because I want to share what I learned. So for the time being, do it like this. Remove this line. I don't need it, and then I can do try read line. This should work. The same goes with PU, and then read line, and then with this do the same read line. And now if I do build, it builds again, but I have a problem. I cannot type. You see now, even though I type plus, I'm getting an invalid operation P, right? That's totally random. If I do the same thing again, it shouldn't be. Okay, it's repeating itself. It's reading someplace in the memory that is not getting overwritten. So the problem is up here. The buffer that I'm creating and returning pointer to is not getting cleaned after it's being written, right? One fix could be I remove this and then take the buffer as input of type u8, but it should be a pointer because as we learned in the previous exercises that we have done, the buffer coming in as is, sorry, it should be a list of u8, but buffer coming as is in parameters is immutable, and we want it to be immutable, so we do it like this, and then I can remove this part, pass in the first input buffer. Actually, this should be like this, and then again do it, remove this one for the read line, and then second input buffer, and then also up here OP buffer, right? And then I close this one, zig build. There is a compilation error. Okay, yes, this was also interesting. I expected to be able to pass some sort of generic array of u8 to the parameter, but then I learned it's not possible. When you have that sort of assumption, you need to type it. So I'm limited to type this buffer in read line to be of length of specific lengths. So zig build now is better. Yeah, then it's already a pointer, you don't need to define it. Down here again, now I can run it, and this time it's going to work. Nothing interesting, but I didn't like how this function is looking like. I'm going to stop my stream in 2 minutes, so I'm not going to apply the changes I suggested in this session, but I'm going to work on it in the later session I'm going to have this afternoon. But for the time being, the problem that I'm facing is that this buffer size is kind of static. It is fine for this application, but I wanted to learn how I can improve on it and basically make it more dynamic, right? And I wanted to also have the benefit of having a function. We will see together a few options and basically pick what works best. Yeah, we also need to cover the stdout part, which is currently using the deprecated method, so probably a good idea. Remove deprecated methods. Yeah, that was a quick one. I hope you enjoyed it. If yes, please like and subscribe, and yeah, see you in the next session.